when COVID hit really hard in the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
So I lost that offer. It was really like super stressful. So so June 15th was my OPT start date, and like 2 days before that, I lost that offer.
Thank you, Siddhant, for doing this. Really means a lot to me and our Yudi squad community. I know you're part of it. You've seen the journey, you've seen my videos, and you're been part of it. So now it's amazing to bring you back on this and sharing your journey. I'm 100% sure people are going to be inspired from you. Yeah.
That's a wonderful introduction, actually. And personally, I feel it, as if I used to watch your videos and always, see those folks that come to your videos, and I always aspire to become like one of them. And then now I'm here. It's a feeling. I'm out of words to express that, but yes, I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do a quick intro for people who don't know you and haven't heard about you. Like, where are you from? What do you do right now? All the fun stuff about you.
I'm Siddhant, and I'm currently a product manager at Armor Blocks. It's a email security company based out of the Bay Area. And before this, I graduated from Cornell from the Masters of Engineering Management program. Spent a few time working with VMware as a product marketing manager. And then before that, I did my undergrad in India in electronics and communication engineering from the IIIT near Raipur. And I think
and you had some internship experience at Singapore.
Yes, I was just going to add that, in my undergrad, I spent about 7 to 10 months working at the National University of Singapore as a security researcher.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I'm so excited to share your entire journey, and obviously Cornell being an Ivy League and experience at Ivy League and all of the fun stuff. But let's do a quick profile check. What is GRE, TOEFL, and bachelor's for you?
Yeah, so my GRE is 310. My TOEFL is 98. And what did you else ask?
Bachelor's like GPA, bachelor's GPA.
Oh, okay. Bachelor's GPA. Okay, so it is 8.36.
Yeah, nice.
Not great, but it's okay.
It's great. It's great. I think it is great. That's awesome.
My GRE score isn't very high. I got a GRE score of 310, which is way less than the class average of Cornell. That is 325.
Oh, I see what you mean. But yeah, because I was like, 310 seems to be a good score. But
I never felt it was a good score. But yeah, I mean, after that was again. So this is pretty unique, actually. This thing explained me a lot about how US admission systems works.
What other universities admits did you have?
Yeah, so I got Cornell. I got UC Irvine into their engineering management program. I had USC as well, USC in Los Angeles, and then I had Northeastern University. So I had 4 of them. I applied to 7. I got into 4.
And Cornell was what was the course?
Cornell is Masters in Engineering Management. All of them were Masters in Engineering Management.
Got it. So why Cornell?
So yeah, one thing is definitely it was unexpected for me. I never thought that I would get into an Ivy League school. So that definitely, I'll be honest, that definitely is one point, because, eventually if I have that opportunity, I thought I'll, go and experience what that Ivy League education is. Everyone talks about it across the news. So that is one. The next is their entrepreneurship support is really amazing. That is something, I really explored when I was at my time at Cornell. I used to go to their entrepreneurship workshops, meet with a lot of founders, people from bachelor's till PhDs and postdocs and even professors. Everyone is into starting a company. I have seen all across the entire spectrum. So that is something I'm really motivated, because eventually I want to start my own company later on, maybe after a while, getting some experience here. And that's also one of the decisions that helped. Other thing is, Cornell as a university allows you to take courses across schools, and you don't have to choose from a particular set of courses that were assigned to your program. I could take courses literally like wine tasting as a part of my curriculum.
Right.
So,
But that
so
wouldn't
that is
count towards your engineering management, right? Like you
that
can
won't
take
count.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. That won't count. But then the things that counted were, so I'll give you a little bit context there. My first semester was mostly, core courses that were required by the degree, the engineering management degree. The second semester, I designed it in such a way that I was able to take all of my courses at the Cornell Johnson School, which is the business school. So it was all courses in financial modeling, it is management consulting, then it is entrepreneurship, which were like a lot of them were not in the original course register that we had. So I had to go to professors, get them approved, but still they allowed it. So that's
And
something,
they
that's a
all
flexibility.
count towards your engineering management.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
they all counted toward it. So
Got it. So
they were all
how
credited courses.
so how many credits did you have to take for completing your masters, and how many were core and how many were electives? If you remember.
Yeah. You're putting me in a good tough spot to recall my memory, but yes, I'll try to do that. So I think the minimum credits required to graduate is 32 for the engineering management program. The first semester, I took 19 credits. Out of that, if you remove
19, that's a lot.
I'll tell you the strategy behind it too, like why I did that.
Okay.
And probably I'm not sure if it worked or not. I'll just tell that strategy and it's up to the viewer to gauge whether it worked or not.
Yeah.
So it's like 19 credits I took. Three were electives, like 3 credits of worth were an elective, like just one elective. And then 16 were all the core courses. Apart from that, I had 3 more as my capstone project. So you could say around 21 would be the core credits. I'm not sure exact on the number, but it would be around that range.
Okay.
Rest of that all were like, you can go up, like minimum you have to go to 32. The rest is your interest, like how much you want to study.
Right. Yeah. So how expensive is Cornell?
Yeah. So I think, should I say this numbers in dollars or in Indian?
Dollars is fine.
Okay, yeah. So I think each semester costs around $25,000. That would
be that's a lot. Okay, I'm very interested to see how this is where this is gonna go. Okay, so roughly about 100,000 for your entire masters.
No, so good thing is my course was only like a 10-month long course. So I had the option to increase it to another semester, which would be like 3 semesters. But I could graduate into 2 semesters as well. So I took that opportunity. I finished my master's in like 2 semesters, spent around $50,000 just for the tuition fees. And then, that's how I did. So
did you have to take, did you come for fall or did you come for spring?
I come from the fall 2019 semester. So I graduated last year.
Oh, you graduated in COVID. Okay, that's even interesting. Yeah. Okay, and did you take? So you didn't have obviously summer so basically you came in fall, and it's not trimester pattern. It's all like proper fall, spring, spring.
Yeah.
Okay, and
no internship at all.
So you finished 32 credits in 2 semesters. That's crazy. How?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say is Cornell also taught me was managing my time really effectively. I'll tell you this.
I mean, you finished your masters in 10 months. First, from Cornell, obviously Ivy League means standards are high too. And after that, you also have full-time job, and that too in COVID. So that I am very curious to know how.
Yeah. So I'll say, a lot of things happened. I would say, first I'll just focus on the academics part of it, like what goes on. Otherwise, there are so many variables into this. We can go in all sorts of directions from here. So if we just focus on the academics, what I did was I took 19 credits in my first semester, like I said, and I think around 14 credits in the second semester. So I graduated with 33 credits. The reason for that was I took 13 credits. One thing to be noted here is I did not do on-campus job in my first semester. I only did that in second semester. The reason for that was, again, I came into the US for the first time, need to understand how things are, and, need to spend some time there. So that, that was something I thought about, that, I should probably leave working on the campus till next year, and then I'll focus on studies, get these 19 credits done, and finish that. So that happened. Obviously, it was quite challenging in the initial first month. To be honest, I never used Google Calendar before coming to the Cornell, not even any calendar application.
Yeah.
And then when I landed at Cornell, I had to fix out my days, times,
Yeah.
and my project meetings, everything. Like if it's 10 a.m. to get out of a meeting, I have to say no and then get out. But yeah, I think that taught me a lot that I'm now using even in my current role and in the previous role. So that happened.
And it also teaches you, life prioritization, right? Like
Yeah,
what's more
absolutely.
important, what's important now, what's more important right now, and also the skill of saying no, because a lot of things will come your way, and you just have to prioritize. Like, okay, is this important? No, it's not, and I have to say no. I know it's gonna add value to my life, but sorry, there's other things which I have to do. So yeah, no, I 100% agree that it is an important skill for people to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, saying no and prioritizing your time, these are the two things that will just apply anywhere.
And I guess that's what product managers do. That's their job. They just have to say
Yeah,
no, and they have to prioritize backlog. So that's their main
right.
role.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of our role. So you're right there.
But anyway, going back to your courses, 19 units, go for it.
Yeah. So 19 credits done in the fall semester. Reason for that again was I wanted to spend more time in job search and in the full-time job search in the spring. Not sure if that's the right strategy, but my understanding was in the fall when I arrive in the US, I don't have a credential. I really have done any courses or projects, and all my credential is outside of the US, and that was the mindset while I chose for like 19 credits. And then I think
Walk me through your day. What was it like to have? Because I believe, I mean, I'm guessing it's gonna be super packed. Like, what was
yes.
it like? Because what did you do? How did you like? Were you able to participate in events and involved in campus and all of that? Like, I'm curious to know how packed your day was.
Yeah, so couple of things. It appears that it was like 19 credits is too much, but I did have like really good time slots within my calendar, which was like 2 hour long slots that I could use to go outside. To maybe I sometimes mostly I went to the business school because they had really good events and people coming over to talk and things like that. Really industry leading people, so I never wanted to miss that out, and those things. So I used to accommodate that on those like 2 hour blocks that I had.
Yeah.
Again, that also goes into planning the courses and fixing your timetable in such a way that you have a life as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so I did that, and
And
none of my morning for
how
yeah.
many total classes did you have?
I had economics and finance, project management. I think data analytics is another 3, 4. I guess probably five courses.
Yeah, so each probably 5 into 3 is 15, or you had four credits for one, probably,
No,
maybe.
I think there were a couple of, yes, I had 4 credits for like 2 courses, not just one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay, so 5 classes, and then in between, and you had no campus job. So, and in between, you
yeah,
were finding time to participate in campus events, business events, which you said.
yeah.
So, were you like pretty much on campus from morning till evening?
Absolutely, that's spot on. So my day used to be like I started like some of the days we had the project management course that started at 8 a.m. That was like 2 days in the week, and that happened. So that day my day started at 8, finished around like 7:30, and I used to do everything across that time. So if I came to Cornell at 8, after project management, the next job for me was to sometimes really get back home quickly, do the laundry, then again come back if that hasn't been done for some reason. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I usually what I did was 8 to 9 was project management class. I went straight to the business school library, sat there, finished my assignments during that small slots that I had, and then the next set of classes started. I think around 1 our classes ended. So that I used to do either gym, or maybe if it's a really intense day, I will just have lunch and do some work. Then again the next set of classes. Also to be noted here, since we had projects, we had to meet the teams as well.
Yeah.
All of us.
I was
So
gonna
that
ask you, that was my follow-up question. Is like, how many of those classes you had like a big projects to do, and were one of those projects like industry focused or something like that?
So fall semester, all my courses that counted towards credit as a, where we had to give exams and, things like that. Those, all of the courses had a course project in them. So if it was data analytics had a course project, economics and finance had a course project, and then it was actually with a startup based in Ithaca. So we had to actually go out of Cornell to a place and then work with that company, the CEO of the company, and then so then after that there was this course, machine learning applications in business, that was in the business school. It also had a course project, and project management also did. So four of them had four course projects.
Yeah,
So
that's
intense.
it's intense, of course, but it gives you, that is what is building your credibility for job search, right? Like you, that example of Ithaca where you had to make a project with the startup, you can, like, that is real experience. You can even though you didn't have internship, that counts as an internship because that's a real world project which you did. So that's so cool. I have always been against the idea of doing 10-month course because I think it's not enough time to settle down and enjoy the campus life and get involved and make network and find a job. So maybe you will prove me wrong by the end of the day, but yeah, I'm curious to know, after your first semester, what happened. Like spring semester, you had a obviously winter break, and then you started your spring semester. That was packed too. You had 14 units in that. That's probably 3 or 4 courses. I think 4. And how did you start your internship, and like what happened?
Yeah, so actually there wasn't any internship in my spring semester.
Right. Sorry, full-time job. Yeah.
Yeah. So direct full-time job search. So the spring semester, I'll say this, like, one decision that I took that helped me a lot to go through that grueling phase of job search and the studies at Cornell was, not many people do it, but I think I got inspired by one of my seniors, a really good friend of mine from my school. What I did was, after the fall semester, as soon as I came to Cornell in August, I went back to India in December again to my family, and I met my girlfriend there. We, like, all of us had a good time. We caught up with each other. I think that gave me some mental memory and really good power to actually go through the semester. And I was lucky that I did that. Now it has been 2 years. I haven't gone back because of. So
yep. It's always a good idea. I've always gone in December in winter break, so that's awesome.
So I did that, and then came back in January. Started with a couple of things. The job search, although I did not have a lot of credibility in the fall semester, I did started the time I came to the Cornell itself. Like, it was around mid-September, we had our career fair. No clue in the career fair because I just don't know what goes on. My only open mind was that I'll just go and talk to people, figure out what the process is. So, and then come back. So that's all I did. But still, so I was already in the momentum of finding a job, and I did a couple of interviews even in that time. And then after that, I came in the spring semester back again. Started.
Sorry to stop you, but I want to focus on that a little bit more. So you went to career fairs, of course, just to get an idea what it is like and understand how the things work over here. You did some interviews, and that interviews were for full-time job once you graduate.
That were for full-time jobs. But I'll tell you one thing: the difficulty that I was facing when I came. During that time in the fall, because of the reason that I did not have a lot of business credibility from my courses or even from my engineering management course, the roles that were interviewing me for were software engineering roles, because I had good technical background from my Singapore time and from my undergrad. So that was the catch. And then that's a dilemma of an immigrant student. And that, there are two things that are constantly going on in your mind. One is to find a job. Then one is to find a job that you like and you are satisfied in that job.
Yeah.
Those, if they collide, it's very difficult to separate them out. So, So I was on that mind, I'll get a software engineering job. My life will be secure in the US, or I'll at least pay off my loan and things like that. And then the other side was, no, you are here to get a business degree. that is why you took this course. Otherwise, why would you come to the US? And that's a constant dilemma I had to battle.
Right. And then obviously you ended up with that battle thinking product
Yeah,
management is where you want to go. We'll get to that. Would
yeah,
you
yeah.
recommend people to go to career fairs? Because see, here's my reason for asking this. I have said it in several videos. Career fairs are awesome way to get used to industry, and that's the best way for you to reach out to recruiters and meet companies because when you are applying online, you're just sending a piece of paper and they don't know you. But when you go to career fair, at least you are showing them your personality. You get to meet them, you get to understand them, and they are interviewing you while they're talking to you. But you're also interviewing them if this company is right fit for me. What's your thought on that?
Right. So, first of all, I agree with what you said. Like the goal is to go to the career fair. It's not like just don't go to that. And there is no reason why you should not. There are a couple of things that it makes you better. One is you start to talk to people very confidently because you have to stand in line, talk to a person you don't know and create that impression. So that's a big skill to have
Yeah.
across your life, not just in, finding a job.
Yeah.
So that helps you grow across people throughout the day. It exhausts your energy, but you still do that. So that's one. The next is I never went to a career fair with a mind that I'll come out with a job. My only goal was to build relationships with people that will expand my network because I don't know if this person will help me today or 10 years from now. So that's what I did. And that was
Very
the goal. I went to this career fairs.
very thoughtful and very interesting. I like it. I have always said it build relationship and not transaction, because sometimes
Yeah.
people build network because so that they get a job, but instead they forget to build a relationship, which is like you said, you don't know if it's going to help tomorrow or for 10 years from now. You're just genuinely interested in building relationships. So that's awesome.
Right. Also, good point there. I think you really sparked my mind. The fall career fair helps you to prepare for the spring one. Even though the
Yes.
spring career fair is not a big career fair, but it is not like a game of big or small. It is just like that one offer that you get.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that prepared me a lot. So my performance was much better in the spring career fair. I actually got a lot of interview calls right from the career fair when I gave my resume. So that happened. The spring semester was pretty, I would say it was actually a lot fun than the previous one because I had lesser credits. The way it was, I mean, also the reason for that is I had to balance finding a job and then balance, the academics at the university. So I did that. And then the job search experience it was quite grueling. Like, I had to constantly do that. Like if there wasn't certain time that I allocated, dedicated to it. I mean, looking for people and connecting with them was something that I did throughout the day. Even when I had like my phone or something like a laptop, I had some time. I just did that. Obviously, interview preparation is something I used to do like at like night, maybe a couple of hours, because my only idea was that if I get one interview, I should be able to convert that, and that is something I mean, one of my really good friends, he also recommends that, and we was just talking about it a couple of weeks before. And he told me that it's important to assume that you're going to get an interview and just be ready for it. So mock interviews help in that state of mind, and then once you get a interview, just crack through that and get the job. So that happened. But
I want to ask
being
you a quick question. When
sure.
was the transition happen that you are from software engineer, you want to now look for product management job, and did you know already that that's what you wanted to do?
That's again a good question. I'll tell you this. This is this encompasses two different experiences across two different countries. So software engineer to a business focused role, that happened in Singapore when I was working for my security project. I did not know why we were building this, who is the customer, what is the use case, what they're going to do with this. I had no answer. And that frustrates as an engineer if you don't have the vision, and like, why are you even putting your mind in doing something if you don't know what it is going to leave an impact on. So that's the time I figured out that I need to understand the business aspect of the high technology that we all work on. And then I came to Cornell. Now, coming to Cornell, my idea was I liked the consulting roles a lot. I felt that it is a structured role that you figure out a problem define it really well, and then start finding out solutions to that problem. Now, in that space, I tried to focus more on cybersecurity because that was my experience. Now, I somehow had to use some of my background to get interviews, because it is more difficult to switch to a role. It is not impossible, but it is still a little bit more challenging to get into another role not from your area. So I thought about cybersecurity consulting, started doing a lot of interviews, and then eventually got an interview call from really one of the big fours, and then they gave. I mean, the interview went really well. This happened in spring, and then COVID happened. All of the businesses started to change, and they started to resign a couple of offers. So that happened. A lot of my friends also suffered that. Either their roles were delayed and things like that. And then at that time, I had to go back to recruiting again. So this was March 26th, just after when COVID hit really hard in the US.
Yeah.
So I lost that offer. I was back into recruiting again. So
right. So you had the offer from one of the big fours, and you were like, okay, chalo, chill. I'm gonna be one of the consultant over there, and life is sorted. But obviously, you didn't know what was coming, and then your offer got rescinded. That's rough.
It was an informal offer, not like on anything on paper, because immediately after the interviews, you usually get that. And then I was seeing that things are getting delayed. I started to get that intuition that, okay, this might be the end of it, because COVID has already hit across businesses. But anyway, so that hit really hard. Back to, it was really like super stressful. I'll really be thankful to my family and my girlfriend as well. Like they literally, they survived me a lot, I would say. I used to just, scream and just shout at them. It takes a toll on you. Like right now, I just think back about it. I do regret it that I should not have behaved that way. But anyways, I did learn a lot to handle pressures. And that was like, I think that experience taught me resiliency. And it's a crazy thing to have if you are not just scared of any situation. So that offer got rescinded. 2-3 months after the interview process, actually 4 months of interview process, I went through a lot of interviews. Nothing was getting converted. The immigration situation was not very good. I actually saw your videos too at that time a lot, like how rules were changing really quickly, and you were putting up new videos, because I did not want to go to government websites to scour through the entire of them. Did not have the time. I was like, okay, Yudi is doing, I'll see his video and trust him.
Thank you.
So I did that. And then after that, I think around June, I got another offer from one of the really big investment banks on Wall Street, one of the top 5 banks. That offer, that was again like a verbal call, and then like verbal offer. And then again, that got rescinded due to immigration.
And same like consultant role?
No, it was a business analyst role.
Okay.
It was that kind of a role. It was an analyst role within a bank. And then, but it was more on the production side of the things, more on the infrastructure side, but still there was a security content to it. So just fraud analysis, things like that. So, but anyways, I mean, I felt that, okay, it's more remotely related to security. I'll anyways try it. It's a new area. But then again, that offer was gone because of immigration reasons. So so June 15th was my OPT start date. And like 2 days before that, I lost that offer. So, and then after that, I was like really stressed out. Like, my counter has begun, and then what I'm going to do. And then after that was amazing. Like, I'll tell you, I'll give an example, like how that networking helped right at that spot. So in the fall semester, I met with someone, it was through my network, and then he introduced to that person. He's based out of Google, and he was a product manager there, pretty senior guy. So I met with him, like, over the phone call and emails. And then that, like, throughout his time, probably he sent out my resume to one of his friends from Wharton. So he graduated from Wharton. He sent out one of his friends who worked at VMware, and he probably sent it out to his team. And one of my colleagues, he sent out an email just out of the blue saying, "Hey, Siddhant, we just saw your resume. We got through this got your resume through an internal referral. and we would love to start talking with you. So that just hit me hard. Like, 1 year or like
Wow.
1 year after something worked. And I maintained the relationship with the Google guy from Wharton. Like I used to constantly get mentorship lessons from him. And he used, like, even though during these tough times, I used to contact him because again, they understood like how these things happen because they were also immigrants and, they graduated from here. And then I think that relationship held, and you can see I got that offer. I got into VMware, had a fabulous time, and then I'll talk about my current role, but that's again a funny story. I'll tell
Yeah,
it later on when we get into this.
right. This it's amazing. I love love your story, and I hope people are like catching up on how things are working in your life and taking examples and experience, like learning from your experiences. What I want to talk about is how did you build that relationship? Like, what my question is more like, so let's say someone came to United States, how do they build the relationship? How do they find people? Like, what should they do to keep the long lasting relationship? That's what I want
Yeah.
to focus on.
Right, absolutely. So the first step in finding people is, so there are two avenues one should always start. One is their alumni network from the university. I have always noted folks from Cornell never say no to a Cornellian, and that is also something I want to do. Like I have been doing a lot, but yes, again, I get so many messages on LinkedIn that I sometimes regret that I'm not being able to follow it. But I think that would change soon. So that is one. Reach out to the alumni, definitely. Talk to them, introduce yourself. What are you
Reach
looking?
out to them on LinkedIn. How?
Yes. LinkedIn is usually good. It works. Then there is another way, which is and Cornell Career Services helped me a lot in this. I just asked them, like, do you know an alumni in cybersecurity consulting? They just found out through their alumni database, told me, okay, there is this guy in McKinsey. Why don't you go and talk to him? I was like, okay, fine. I'll go and speak with them. My professors, you won't believe, my machine learning professor, he called his real brother who worked at PwC in cybersecurity and connected me with him. So
Wow. Yeah.
use all opportunity. People are here to help. That is
Yeah.
one thing I learned. Even my project management professor said everyone wants you to help. You have to ask for it. No one is going to offer you.
And yes, this is it's so true. I am like smiling and I'm so happy because I've said this in so many of my videos, and your testimony is a proof, and so many others who have come to a podcast and have talked about the exact same things. And I just want to scream, like, please do this. Online applications, yes, they might work, but this is even better. This is
Yeah.
the way this is going to work. You can't even imagine, like, so, and the big point is that there are people who wants to help, and you can't stay in your room. You can't just assume that people are going to come to you to help you. You have to go out and help. You have to go out and out of your comfort zone and ask for help. So amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing this. It means a lot. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I did with like my professors across the programs. They helped me a lot. Even my family, like remotely, even I knew someone who is in the US and working for a company. And I have been fortunate to have really close relatives who have been working here. I did reach out to them. They connected me with their network. It just grows organically. If you start talking to one person, they'll start connecting you, and it just grows like a weed. Like you see the money plant growing across your house. In
Yeah.
India, you see like it just climbs across. It's just that it happens that way. So I would recommend doing that. And also, it is important for like when students reach out to someone, it is important to remember you are striking a relationship, building it. It's not a transactional, and they don't owe you anything. And it is also very possible that they won't respond to you, which is why, I mean, initially I used to be stressed out, like why I'm not getting any responses. But it is just a numbers game. You start scaling to like more people, and your response rate improves. So you just have to constantly do the same things. It is difficult to do it, but you constantly have to do it, and that just improves the whole process.
What are some of the do's and don'ts when you very first time reach out to alumni or friends or networks or relation starting to build? One of the don'ts is your first message shouldn't be that I'm looking for a job. Can you refer me? That is
Absolutely.
the big no. but I see people doing that. And the other don't is, do not just send LinkedIn requests without a message. Like, that's a horrible way to connect unless you know the person and you have talked about it and you're just like, hey, I'm going to send a request. That's a separate story. But if you're like first time reaching out to alumni, you're too lazy to type 3 lines for that. Don't expect anything but no. So anyway, what are your some of the don'ts and do's?
So what you said, we'll just include that in the list. Apart from that is obviously the do, I would say, is go through their profile, find out what is really interesting about them, or any recent news article that they shared, liked, maybe posted about something on LinkedIn, and then just try to give your thoughts around it. That, I mean, it could be as simple as, there is a cybersecurity professional. He just shared a new article about a recent attack that happened, and I'm just giving a cybersecurity example only because I'm on this area. So I don't have anything else, the cool stuff in my mind. But then yes, so you see that article, you read about it, and give your thoughts on that. So it's as simple as that. And they are just interested to talk to a person who and they will know that you actually took the time to see their profile. Did that. One of the things that I used to do is I used to find out people who were in mechanical engineering, who were in arts, who graduated from psychology, then got into the role of a consultant or a product manager. And I used to ask them, like, what did you learn in that particular undergrad degree, which you would say became a transferable skill or an experience that you now use in your current role? So they were all sorts, like, they were really interested to share that. And it's a good learning point. So going through the profile is really important. I did spend time. It takes time a little bit. Like, it would be like a 5-minute more skill that you would need to add in total of like sending out a message. But yes, that helps. It makes the message more personal also. So that's one. Don'ts, I would say, is obviously not asking for a job or an internship in the first message. That really turns off. The next is don't also keep on like sending messages repeatedly. I think once you send a message, it's a good way to wait for like a week and then send it back. Now, one of the thoughts that a student will have while doing this, and I used to have this already, is how will then get something like a head start on it, like maybe an interview or a phone screen or a call, just to get to know each other. So those things that just clouds your mind. But then again, it's a game of scale. So you start, if you're waiting on someone to respond, send out 10 others. So that just keeps you in the game. So that's how. These are a couple of things I can think of.
No, 100. I agree with all of them, and those are some of them I've already recommended, and it just makes me feel good that you are kind of validating what I've said in my previous videos. And also, like, just provide value, like, like you said, provide your thoughts and provide value to someone, and then try to be genuinely interested in knowing them, and then you can share that, hey, I'm here in this position, I'm wondering if there's anything you can help. But don't start with that. Like, don't ask for help in the first message.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. So that's really, really important, and I can second to that.
Yeah, let's talk about VMware interview process. So they reached out to you. You said yes, I'm interested. That was product marketing manager. What was the interview process for that?
Yeah, so that was also interesting. Like, it was actually not a permanent role, to be honest. It was a temporary role, in fact. And because I was already on my OPT, I could actually work on that. The interview process, but still was equally, the way VMware does interviews is. So it was fairly interesting, I would say. So right away, I met one of my colleagues who reached out to me. I met him over Zoom. He discussed my resume, my projects, asked me like why product, and also why product marketing. So I mean, those things you obviously have to do your due diligence while answering that before to an interview. And
so let's track back. What kind of preparation did you do for this? Because obviously that you were gonna interview for this position. What preparation did you do? Like, how did you prepare yourself for this interview?
Absolutely. So my entire resume, I knew what, like, you use the star method for every, like, it's like situation, action, and result. For every experience, you have to be like, solid on that. And I have one of my sections in my resume was talking about a little bit about my technical background, and that was my NUS security project. So I had to go back and read my own research paper a couple of times to understand what I did, how I did, and what is the outcome. So
Yeah.
that's one, like, that's a way you have to, like, really know what projects you do, I mean, you have done. And because you have to be clear on, like, what problems did you solve and how did you solve it and what was the result, which is basically the star method. So that was one thing that I did. And then the other part is understanding VMware's product portfolio. Any
Yes.
company, I mean, you won't be able to understand everything. Some companies are too huge to understand all aspects of it. Some are fairly a new startup, so you will understand all aspects of it. So the way to do about that is know enough that links all the products together, so that you know, like, okay, this company, VMware, is in cybersecurity and is in virtual machines. Now, how does cybersecurity for virtual machines matter, and how does VMware do that for their customers? So that's a, like, a relation again you have to build across the company to understand, not really in depth, but at least overview you should have, that okay, this is how the company is functioning, these are the products, these are the cash cows, these are not producing a lot of money, and these are probably the new acquisitions and things like that. Next is understanding any news about the company, as simple as going to Google News and typing VMware and just seeing what's going on. So that's a good point. That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Next
It's
is
conversation starters. We could.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you can, I mean, when they give you a chance to ask questions, you can do that. Like, if I saw, okay, VMware acquired a new startup for $50 million, I'll ask this question. Like, when the interviewer gives me an opportunity, I'll say, oh, you just acquired this company, which business unit does it go, what problems does it solve? It just starts your conversation, right? Because
Yes.
that is also important to think, like, what questions you want to ask.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of the
And
interview
that shows that you are interested in knowing their business model. You're interested in the
absolutely.
company. You're interested in learning about more about them. So 100%, yes. And it's,
So,
in America they say, at least it's different from Indian cultural professional interview culture, where it's
yeah.
not just you are getting interviewed, it's also you are interviewing the company.
Yes.
Because in America it's not like if they, like, you want this job, they also want you, the company wants you, so they will make sure that they present themselves so good that right. So yeah.
Absolutely, you are spot on. So you need to also interview your interviewer as well. And the important part of that is, I mean, sometimes I would say this is also a bit of because we are immigrants and we come to the US with, like, loans, and we need to pay that off, things like that. We have that stress. We might skip that sometimes. That job satisfaction, we might send it to the second seat and not take a priority out of it. But that is something it should be important. Like, even in interviews, asking the company the right questions is difficult. And you are right, that they will show the way that it is good, but you have to grill down the interviewer and find out, like, really the nooks and cracks, and then figure out the answer. So that's one. So that helps in interview preparation. I did that, like, just winding through news and talking to I had the same mindset that it's a good talking point, and also it's like something I can ask when they give me an opportunity. So that's like, these are a couple of things I did. But apart from that, I guess in general, they want to know how well you know your stuff, and what due diligence you did about the company that you are interviewing for. So
Yeah. And
about
what
not just about the
value
product,
you.
but also the culture too. So not to interrupt you, but I just wanted to add this point. Understanding the culture of the company is equally important, because that's I mean, you have to also, that's also an indicator, like, would you be a fit for that company or not. So
100%, yeah, no, 100%. Because a lot of time, we also, I am a software hiring manager, so I manage
yeah,
team of software developers, right? So a lot of time, the way our decision is made is also that, yes, he's exceptionally good, but we don't like his attitude. He's not going to be a good fit for the team. He's going to ruin the team dynamics,
yeah,
or she's going to ruin the team dynamic. She's too bold, and I don't think it's going to match with our team. So something like that. So yeah, so same thing for you is like, do you like that when you are listening to them, do you like the culture they have, and like, okay, they are like too much and I might probably, this is not my cup of tea, I probably won't enjoy the culture. So 100% like what you said, I agree.
Right. Yeah.
So moving on to, sorry, I know we took up a lot of time. It's almost like an hour. Moving on to the interview process. How many interviews did you have, and like, was it just one interview and said and done, or did you have
two interviews?
Two interviews?
Just two interviews, and it's all done there. So.
Okay. And that was all obviously with the COVID. You had everything online.
Yeah, everything online. So,
and was there like, both the interviews, was that both more behavioral interviews, or?
You could say, yeah, behavioral, a little bit more technical about the resume, like all the technical stuff that I had on the resume. So,
got it. Okay. How was working? So what does product marketing manager does?
Yeah. So product marketing manager is the person who creates I would say it's a complex role too, like product management. They do bunch of stuff. One is messaging and positioning the product. How well does the customer understand what you are building and what value does it provide? So that message is something they create. So storytelling is a big part of the role. Then there are a bunch of things like, simple things like organizing events where you get to pitch your product, or you show that, okay, this is what we developed and this is what value this product is going to add to your company. And these events are usually attended by, in terms of security, it would be a chief information security officer, those kinds of executives who will attend these conferences. So you basically do that. Then the other part is understanding your customer, but on a broader sense, like not really going into the technical depths of how they are doing stuff. That becomes product management. That is a fine line there. So it's like you understand the sentiment of your customer, how they are using it, are they happy or not, and then basically you understand it broadly, but you don't get very deep into that. So you have constant customer calls. Next part is preparing the sales, the field folks to actually go out and do the selling stuff. So they need to have the right collaterals to use, and preparing those collaterals is one of the biggest responsibilities of a product marketing manager.
What would you say? I'm guessing no programming in this role for you.
No.
You didn't have any product marketing experience, right? So this was like you went in as a fresher as well. The only experience you had was 8 months of your Singapore professional work experience at that, and then whatever courses you had, and you had that experience. So it is totally possible for someone to not have experience, or maybe have some relevant experience, or have 1 year or 2 years of experience and still get into product marketing or product management.
Absolutely. Just adding there again, why Cornell will answer this question again is my capstone project was actually a product management project with Siemens Healthineers. So I was working with Siemens for like 6 months in my spring semester. And I think that project added a lot of value to getting these roles. So I would say those kind of opportunities are important to tap on. So I had options across multiple companies, but during my capstone project to select, but then I chose the product management one because I somehow had the intuition that this will, benefit me later on, and it probably did. So
yeah. What's the salary range for product marketing managers?
I would say for an entry level folk, it would be around 110, plus 10, 20, plus minus 10, 20K. You can assume that.
Right.
But it depends on like how you see the salary also. If you see in hand, that's a different metric. If you see total comp, that's a different metric. So I'm talking about the in hand, like pre-tax.
Okay. Yeah. So right. Then there are other factors too, like bonuses, and then there are performance, annual reviews, or annual increments in the stocks and everything. So it's a pretty good career choice. The reason I was asking you, so I know you said roughly about $50,000 for your Cornell expense, and that's just tuition fees, or is it covering everything?
That's just tuition fees.
Okay, so what would you be? What would you say your total expense were at Cornell?
Yeah, I would say easily 56 to 57 grand.
So
Yeah.
total would be around, let's say 60,000 max.
Yeah, you can assume like you can max it out to $60,000.
And obviously you've been now working over than a year. Have you been able to like pay off that?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
okay, awesome.
I've
That's
been I've been able to. So that was one of the things that I planned before coming to the US. I love creating financial models, by the way. So that's why I took the course also at Cornell. And the professor is amazing. Just so, so what I did was I created three scenarios, like what kind of jobs I would have and what would be my monthly salary. So how many months it will take to pay back the loan. So I started like I assumed like the minimum one, which was like $80,000. But right now it is not 80,000. So I've been fortunate to. I'd say that if I comfortably take out my installments from my monthly salary, by the end of this year, I'll be able to pay back my all loan. It's not difficult. People can do it.
Point is like it is possible, even if
Yes,
the loan
yes,
amount is this big, it is possible to pay
yes,
off the loan.
yes, yes. It is possible. Obviously, I would say 5% of it is luck, but yeah, resiliency is important. I mean, I lost like a couple of offers, but then that time you would feel that you have this big weight on your shoulder about a loan. But again, you just have to go through this time and probably become resilient and just travel through that bad time. So
Yeah.
it was, but it is not impossible. Like it is not like if one doesn't. I mean, it's not impossible to take a big loan and then pay it off. You can obviously do it if you trust your instincts and you know why you are here, and you make the best of your time here. It's going to pay off.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know it's almost an hour since we've been talking, and I want to split this into now two half because I didn't think that your story is gonna be so awesome, and we deep dive into so many topics. Any tips, anything which you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I'll say is before coming to the US, it is important to change the mindset that it is not like placements in India that companies will come here and you'll get the job. That is a mindset change everyone has to do, I would say. Otherwise, you will feel really stressed out that, oh, the university is not good and you're not getting an offer or things like that. I tell this analogy to everyone. I'll just bring it up. Like Cornell Business School. If you take Cornell Business School and you take IIM Ahmedabad, like those are two really, I mean, great universities in both countries. So it is not like in IIM we have in India in general a placement system where good companies come and you get selected. But in the US, even if it's a Cornell Business School, the student has to put a lot of work in finding the role. It's not like, I mean, yes, there are opportunities, but again, it falls on your plate that you have to work and really find that opportunity. So getting rid of that mindset is good if you're coming to the US, that you will have companies and you will get the offer if you haven't got into a really good school or any school for that matter. That is one. I think next would be being very open and actually going out and talking to people. That is I mean, that is really important. The reason for that is you never know what that conversation will turn out to be. It can be a job offer. It can even simply be a life partner. Perfect example is your own story.
Yes.
So yeah, and then it's as simple as finding a co-founder as well. Like maybe 10 years down the line you open a company, he just knows you or she just knows you, and you just get it together and build a company, you solve a problem. So talking to people is really important. Best way to do that is being on campus. I think any university you go, there are amazing people across schools, across your own program. Making the best time out of that is essential. I think we don't stress that much in India probably, but I guess it is important here. And that also in general, it makes you a better person. Like you can be put into really stressful situations, like, as simple as going to a customer call, being a product manager, I'm just telling that, going to a customer call that you haven't talked to, but you still need to navigate through that call now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
learning that skill is as simple as talking to a bunch of folks in your campus, like when you are studying here. So that is important. Knowing to do your own, like, stuff when you live here in the US. That could be as simple as like making your own food or preparing
Yeah.
things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These are the few things I can think of.
Yeah,
Right?
we'll definitely bring you back. We'll talk more about your current role as a product manager and more about product management in general, and what it is and all of that. So good to have you. It's amazing. It's a pleasure. I can't even believe that 1 hour has been passed. We've talked so many things. So I'm hoping that people really get inspiration from you and learn from your experiences. Anyway, that's it for this one. Until our next one.
Keep smiling and keep hustling.